Dear learners, happy learning.
Before going to this session, we will make a small recap of your part 1 and part 2 videos. What are so far we discussed. So recap of this session. Part 1. First we saw about algorithm. What is algorithm? It's a step-by-step process for your programming language, right? Then we discussed about subroutine. It's a smaller section of code used to perform particular task that should be carried over repeatedly. Then we saw about function specification, how to specify a function. What are the two main categories involved in function specification? One is parameter, another one is arguments. Parameters are variables and arguments are the values passed to your variables. Then we saw about two main types. One is parameter without data type, another one is parameter with data type. These are all the parts discussed in part 1 session of your video. And in last class we saw about what is interface. It's a set of action that an object can do, and implementation carried out the instruction defined by the interface. We saw two examples over this interface and implementation. Can you able to remember, ma? Yes, one is using brain act as an interface for working of your different body parts, we saw. Then car, how the car works, hiding the details and all we saw, right? In what is pure function, it will result same when the same arguments are passed, right? And impure function, then side effect of using impure function and how to modify the variable outside the function. So these are all the topics we so far discussed in last two videos of your class. Now moving to this session, we are going to see a problem, how to solve a problem using function. Okay, so in this class we are going to discuss about chameleons. Chameleons, had you heard this word chameleon anywhere, ma? Yes, you may study it in your science. Chameleons. Okay, chameleons of Chameleon problem using function. This is your today's topic. So up to this topic, your first chapter of your unit 1 going to wind up off. Okay. Now consider this one, how to construct an algorithm for the strategies. So what is the problem we are discussing here is, first you have to take two chameleons. Okay, that is two different chameleons. That two different chameleons value must be equal to same. So when they meet over, automatically the color of the third chameleon get change off. This is the condition for constructing this an algorithm. Okay, now first you represent a variable for chameleon as A, B and C, because you are going to do a problem based on three chameleons. So what is the condition given is, if two chameleons meet means automatically the color of that will get changed to third chameleon. So chameleon means பச்சோந்திகள். தமிழ் என்ன சொல்வாங்கம்மா? பச்சோந்திகள். So based upon their adaptation of living, it will change the color. Okay. Now see, A equal to B. That is, first two chameleons are equal in number. That is your first input property function. Now, how the output relationship will result? No. If A equal to B equal to 0, that is, first two chameleon value is 0 means automatically what will happen is the third type will have the value of what is the variable assigned for A, that value along with B and the value of C as it is. Okay, the summing up of these three value will result. This is your condition for getting your output. Okay, now we are going to name your algorithm as monochromatized. Monochromatized. The algorithm can be specified as monochromatized of A, B and C. A, B and C. Why we are giving this one ma? Because you are going to take three values. Okay. So for that we are giving A, B and C. Now moving to your slide. Now consider this is as an input. So input function is for variable A, you have to represent the value as A, and B, capital B, and C as capital C. Main condition is what ma? A equal to B. That is the value of A and B is equal in number. What is the result of your output? A, B and equal to 0. If the condition of A and B is assigned for 0 means automatically C is assigned for the value of A along with B along with C. So summing up of this 3. Okay, this is your input function and output function. Now moving to your tabular column. This is your tabular column listed for your iteration steps. Iteration is nothing but your looping condition. What is iteration ma? Iteration means looping. Looping means if anything going to be done repeatedly, continuously means that is called as iteration. So iteration means looping. You are having three variable A, B and C. Okay, initially I am taking initial stage as 1. So initially if A value is assigned for 4 and B as 4, because we have to take A and B should be equal in number. That is your first condition, right? A equal to B. This is your first condition. So we are taking A value as 4. Similarly, B value as 4. In your book, there is one small correction is there. Instead of 6, they have written as 4 in your book. So kindly make a correction in C value. So initially C value is 6. Okay. So now consider this one. I'm taking green color as A. Okay, this is your chameleon. Green color as A, red as B, and the color of your output C as yellow. So what will happen is, if these two chameleon meets anytime, A and B meets means what will happen is the color of the chameleon get changed to the third one. What is the third one's color? Yellow. So green will change to yellow, then red will change to yellow. So the value of C will get 2 more compared to the previous stage. Okay, this is the condition. Now see, in this looping, going to this is initial, going to stage 1. What will happen? You have to meet, they are going to meet, A and B is equal in number. So we have to eliminate 1 from this and 1 from this. Why ma? Because automatically the value of A will change to yellow and the B will change to yellow. So what will happen is C value get incremented by 2. Now see the result of is 4 minus 1 is 3 and 4 minus 1 is 3. 6 plus 2 is 8 over here. Now moving to your second stage. Here the value 3. So 3 minus 1. Similarly here. Here plus 2. Like this loop get carried over. 3 minus 1 is 2. Here also 2. And 8 plus 2 is 10. Okay. Now coming to this. 2 minus 1. Here also minus 1. Here 10 plus 2. Now value of this third stage is what ma? 2 minus 1 is 1. Here also 1. 10 plus 2 is 12. Now Coming to your fourth stage, 1, 1 minus 1, here also minus 1, here 12 plus 2. So what will happen? 1 minus 1 is 0, here also 0, and your final value is what? 14. So what is the condition mentioned previously? As a result of this, C will get a value of A plus B plus C, right? So initial value of A is what? 4. Initial value of B is what? 4. And initial value of C is what? It is 6. So adding this 3, what will the result of this ma? 4 plus 4, 8. 8 plus 6 is 14, right? So that is the output here. So it meet your result. This is the problem solving strategy using chameleon problem, right? We will see an iteration step in diagrammatically in your next slides. You all clear in this? Now we will see a diagrammatic representation of this, so you can able to understand very easily. This is your first stage in iteration. Initially you are having 4 chameleon, that is A. Green color is 4, red is 4. So that value is B. And your result is C. That is your yellow chameleon is 6. This is your iteration 1 stage, that is initial stage. Now moving to our first stage, what will happen? 4 minus 1 is 3. Similarly for red also 3. What will happen to C value? Already 6. This 2 will get add up here. So C equal to 8. This is your first stage. Moving to second iteration, automatically 3 will get minus of 1. So A equal to 2 and B equal to 2. Automatic color of this 2 get changed over to yellow. So now C value will add up to 10. Then moving to your third iteration, A value is 1. Similarly, B value is 1. So 10 plus 2 is 12 for C. Finally, what will happen in last stage ma? A is assigned for 0 because 1 minus 1 is 0. Similarly for B, so 12, already 12 in third iteration of C. Add up this 2 along with that, you will get a value of 14. This is your final stage. Okay, this meet your requirement for problem solving. So color of the all A and B meet together, everything will get over to your third color, right? Now we will see how to write an algorithm for this. Okay, using function. Now listen carefully. What is your function name here? Monochromatize. A and B and C are variables. These three are variables. Okay. Now what is your input condition ma? A equal to capital A, B equal to B and C equal to C. Main part is A and B are equal in number. Now moving to your output, what is the condition? What is the requirement you have to meet? If A, B is assigned for 0, automatically C will get a value of A plus B plus C, right? That we discussed so far. You can able to understand very easily, I think so, right? Now check the condition. What is the condition is A is greater than 0. If A, that is A greater than 0 means then only it will move to the value of proceedings, right? So ABC value is assigned as A minus 1. Total value of A get decrement to minus 1. Similarly for B, and C value will add up to 2. This is the condition we saw. Because this minus 2 from A and B is add up to C. For your better understanding only, I make a diagrammatic representation of chameleon. Now After coming to this part, you can able to understand very clearly, I think so, right? Now we will see a flow chart for this. How to draw a flow chart. Flow chart is nothing but what ma? It is a pictorial representation of your algorithm. Algorithm means you are writing your part in coding stage. If you are going to describe as a diagrammatic way means you have to go for flow chart. Okay. Now we'll move on to this flow chart part of this. Now see this one. So how to specify input and output function in your flow chart? You may discussed in your lower classes, right? Yes, input and output function should be represented using parallelogram. These are all the input and output function. This is your input. Okay, this is your input. And lastly, you will get your output. So input and output function value should be represented by using parallelogram symbol. Now, first thing is what? A value is assigned. Both are equal, A and B. A is assigned for capital A and B as B and small c as capital C. This is your first stage we discussed. Then it will go for a condition checking. So condition checking means that part should be assigned in rhombus symbol. Okay, this is your condition part. This is what ma condition. So condition if A greater than B. This is while condition you are writing here. If it is true means the value of A is decremented by 1, B is also decremented by 1 and C is incremented by 2. Right, this is the part. If it is false means what will happen? A value and B value is assigned for 0. Automatically C will get the value of A plus B plus C. Then you can print your output. Okay, this is the part for writing a flow chart for Chameleon problem. Now moving to your program part. Now see this one. We already saw in OCaml language how to write your coding, right? See, every program will start up with a keyword of what ma? Let. So let. This function is repeatedly carry over. So what function you have to make use of? Recursive function. What is the keyword of recursive function ma? Yes, REC is the keyword for using recursive function. Monochromatize is your function name. A, B and C are variable. Is assigned for first condition you are going to check if A is greater than 0. Then A value is decremented by 1 and B also decremented by 1 and C get incremented by 2. Else A equal to 0, B equal to 0 and C equal to A plus B. This is the condition we are seeing in three main types. One by using input and output, another by using flowchart strategy. Now we are discussing with your programming strategy, right? So finally you have to return your output in C. That's all. Now you can able to write your coding by own, right? So up to this, your chapter 1 in unit 1 gets over, ma. Now we will move on to the points to remember of your chapter 1. Okay. So what are the things we discussed? Mainly three main notes we have to take it off from your chapter 1. This main three notes will be asked in your 2 marks. First is recursive function. What is recursive? Because in upcoming chapters, you are going to discuss about functions in deeply. That time you have to know what is function and what is recursive function, why we are going for function and all. So this is the main important notes. A function definition which call itself again and again means that is called recursive function. Next, All functions are static functions. Static means what ma? Value won't get changed off. Okay, once you define in the definition part only, static definition. There is no dynamic definition. Okay. Now consider to note 3. Evaluation of pure function does not cause any side effect to its output function. But impure function cause a side effect, right? So these 3 important notes, you have to make it off. Now moving to your points to remember stage. First we will discuss what is an algorithm, and then we'll move on to subroutines. Again and again you are hearing these words, no? So for your better understanding, I am repeating once again and again. So this is your first point, algorithm. Make it. Then subroutines. What is function visa? Then how to proceed with input and output using function specification visa. Then definition of the syntactic blocks in the function. So function definition, you will have definition part. Okay. Then parameters visa. Based on the parameter, how to pass an argument values to an argument visa. Then what is interface? How to define an interface? Okay. Then what is implementation? Process carried out using interface. Then what is pure function and impure function? Up to this, chapter 1 gets over. Now we will discuss to practical session of this, practical programs. Okay. That is specified in your books. So you have to write an algorithmic function for finding maximum of 3 number. So coming to this evaluation stage, you just see, if you are having book means you just watch in your book. Hands-on practice. Okay, here what is your first part? Write an algorithmic function definition to find the maximum among 3 numbers. So we have to write a program for finding maximum of 3 numbers. This is your first program. Okay. Next one is write an algorithmic recursive function. This is normal function and this one is recursive function to find the sum of n natural numbers. Okay. N natural number you are going to find. These are all the 2 main practical exercise given. Now we will see output for this. Okay, what is your first question, ma? Write an algorithmic definition to find maximum among 3 numbers, right? So what are the requirements you need? You need a 3 variables and you need a function name. So what is your function? Start with the keyword of let. You are going to find minimum of 3 numbers. So I am specifying your function name as min. This is your function name. Okay, how many variables you are going to pass? 3 variables. So x, y and z is assigned for condition checking part. So in this you are going to check a condition if x less than y, then you are having 3 numbers. So first number is less than second, means you will go for, if first number is less than third, then you will print x as the lesser number. Same strategy. Okay. Now see this one. First condition is what? If x less than y, then if x less than z, then x. Okay, then you are going to print the output as x. That means x is the minimum number. Otherwise, z. In this condition, based on this condition, if statement alone. This is for checking this 2. This is z for from this result. Okay. Again, else part, else if If it is not less than means what will happen? It will go for y value, second stage. So second, already this statement is false means x less than y is false means y is minimum. So y will check for this is z. Okay. If else if y less than z, then y. So it will print the minimum value as y. If it is not, this condition is not get satisfied, automatically what will happen is z is the minimum number. This is your first program. This is the coding of your first program. Okay, you understand, ma? Okay. Now we will go to the moving to your book back questions. Take down your book and solve this one. Okay. First thing is choose the best answer. Read the question, ma. Small section of code that are used to perform a particular task is called subroutine. Is called subroutine. Okay. Next, what is your next question? Which of the following is a unit of code that is often defined with a greater code structure? What function? Which one of the following is a distinct syntactic block? Definition of the syntactic block we studied, right? The variable in a function definition are called as parameters. Value, if you are passing to a variable, means that will called as what, ma? Arguments. See, that is your next question. The value which are passed to your function definition are called as arguments. Which of the following are mandatory to write your type notations in the function definition? How will you define, ma? In parentheses. Which one of the following defines what an object can do? Which one will define? Interface will define what the object can do. Next question. What of the following carried out the instruction defined by the interface? That is called as implementation. Function which gives exact result when same arguments are passed means that is pure function. Function which causes side effect. Side effect, by hearing the name itself you can make it as impure function. Right? Okay. This is your book back question of 1 mark. Now moving to this part 2. This is a 2-mark question. In video class 1, that is a part 1, already given this 2 mark as your home assignment, right? The same question is here. Let me check it off. Now this part 3, what are the characteristics of interface? Why string length is called as pure function? Side effect of impure function with example. Differentiate between these two, and how to modify the variable outside the function with example. This gave an assignment as home assignment in part 2 session. Okay, so part 2 and part 3 are given in your video class of 1 and 2 already. Now we will move on to this part 4. What are the questions here? In 5 mark we will see. So what are called parameters? How to write a note on parameter, and with type and without type. I already told in your first class itself, no? This is very, very important 5 mark question under the topic. See in page number 1, parameter and arguments. Parameter with type, from here you have to start it off. That a 5 mark question. Okay, 5 mark question. From here, this example you have to write parameter with type by giving int over here. Okay, up to this you have to write off, up to this example. you have to write off. Okay, starting from parameter and argument, parameter with type and without type. So you have to write up to this. Next question is what? Just look it. What is the next question, ma? Identify the following program. So in this program, you have to identify and write what is the name of your function, then what are the arguments and variable passed to this. Okay, how to define this one, and this function represent normal function or recursive function, how to terminate this recursive function, and all these are all the queries. These are all the queries in your second question. Okay, now consider this one. So what is your first question here? Let rec gcd ab. It means what? Function begin with keyword of let. Rec is your recursive, gcd is your function name, variables you are using a and b. Okay, then it will check for a condition. If b is less than or greater than 0, then gcd, that is greatest common divisor, value will be b into a mod of b, else it return the value as a. Now what is your first question, ma? Name of the function. What is the name of the function? GCD is your function. That is the answer for your name. Now moving to second, identify the statement which tells it is a recursive function. Which statement is telling it one as recursive function? REC, no? So this statement tells it is a recursive function. REC is a keyword, tells the compiler it is a recursive function. Very good. Now moving to your third question, name the arguments variable. What are the two variables you are using here? One is A, another one is B. These two is an argument variable. Next, statement which invokes the function recursively. Which statement? State that the function is using recursively. That is, which function state the function is using continuously. Which function state, ma? This function GCD, no? GCD mod of A, GCD B into A mod of B. This statement, okay? And what is your last question here? Statement which terminate the recursion. Return A, no? This value. Finally, else, if the condition gets satisfied means this part will get over. Otherwise, it will return A. So this is your termination part. Return A is your termination part. That is your fifth. Okay. Do you all clear, ma? What I am saying? Okay. Now, moving to next question. What is your next question? Explain with example pure and impure function. And last question is with an example, explain interface and implementation. While taking your second video itself, I gave this one as important 5 mark by listing in tabular column, no? Same thing you have to write here. See this one, along with that example you have to write. First point, pure and impure means first point you have to write, it returns the value purely depends upon argument pass. This is your first point. Okay. If you call a pure function with same set of argument, you will get a same return type. This is your second point. It does not have any side effect. This is your third point. It does not modify an argument which pass to them. This is your fourth point. Like this, point by point you have to write. Okay. Similarly for impure function, it does not solely depend on the argument passed. First point. If you call a impure function with a name set of argument, you might get different return values. This is your second point. They does not affect any. So here you may represent impure function may have a side effect. That is your third point you can write. Then they may modify the argument which passed to them. Here example random of and date of function is an example they given, no? Similarly for pure function you may write string length, no? We already saw string length function. That one you can able to specify here. Wait, I will show you. This one ma. The string length function, then square of this two. You may write an example here. Okay. String length function and square of function you may write here for this random and date function. This program also you have to write while asking in 5 mark means this also 1 point you write any one program whether random or this increment. Similarly here whether square or string length function. Okay. So totally 5 marks by writing 5 points. Similarly one more thing is interface and implementation. No, here this one you have to write this one. What is interface? This point you have to write. Then this example you have to write. Okay. So up to this your chapter 1 gets over of. Hope you all understand this chapter 1. It is very important and easy chapter. So we will wind up your class. We'll see one thought of your day today. A little progress each day add up to a big result. What is it, ma? So if you make any little work in your daily routine, automatically it will result in your big task to be achieved in your career. Okay. So you make any little work each day. Wake up, your result should be very high. Okay. Thank you, students. Hope you understand this topic very well. I think so.